You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from February 23rd, 2022, coming to us from the state of Connecticut. Overall thoughts on this week's AEW Dynamite. I really enjoyed the show. The wrestling was really good on the show, but in my opinion, this week, the highlight of the entire show was definitely the promo segments that we got. I mean, MJF's promo on Dynamite was flat out amazing. Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho tore it up verbally on the microphone, and there was a lot of aspects to that particular promo that I really enjoyed that I will get to later on this review, but MJF was really the highlight in my opinion. MJF, again, man, this guy is on his way to superstardom, and we are all right here witnessing it before our very eyes. But before I get on with this Dynamite review, as you can see, I have a smile on my face because of the fact that this show is that damn good. But before I get on with the Dynamite review, please like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Like and subscribe, and of course, as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. But yeah, man, overall, I really enjoyed Dynamite for what it was, man. It was a really good show this week, in my opinion. Definitely better than last week. Again, last week was not a bad show, but I didn't think it was that bad, but the rating that last week's show got was not good whatsoever. But I'm going to get on with the Dynamite review. Dynamite starts off with the Tag Team Battle Royal, the first Tag Team Battle Royale for a shot at Jurassic Express for the AEW World Tag Team Championships at Revolution. Of course, this is the first Tag Team Battle Royal that is taking place on the show. The next Battle Royal will take place next week on Dynamite, which determines the second tag team to participate in this match, because of the fact that the match that's going to happen at Revolution is a triple threat tag team match for the tag titles. Overall, this was a really good opener for Dynamite. Right, the first thing that, this was like literally the first match of the entire night. Overall, there was chaos in this match, but there was a lot of story elements, especially near the end of the match, that I really want to talk about. ReDragon, of course, are the winners of this match, but I'll dive deep into that later on. But I'm going to be discussing not all the things that happened, because, again, it's really difficult to take notes on, battle royals, because of the fact that there's just so much going on all at the same time. So I'm really going to just tell you guys who got eliminated, the key spots that happened in the match, and all that stuff. So Alex Reynolds is the first to get eliminated by the Blade. Of course, Alex Reynolds is in a tag team with John Silver of the Dark Order. John Silver then eliminates Blade. The Gun Club is in the center of the ring, but Santana and Ortiz go after the Gun Club. Ortiz then eliminates Austin Gunn. At this point, Santana is behind Colton Gunn and then eliminates him. At this point, 2.0 works on Ortiz, but then we get a double clothesline by the Butcher onto the Young Bucks. Then Butcher goes for a double clothesline on both Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, a.k.a. ReDragon. Then Trent tries to go for a tornado DDT, but Butcher counters and slams him to the mat. Trent at this point is on the apron, but then Butcher gets eliminated by the Best Friends. Then we get a half and half combination on Bobby Fish by both Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. At this point, later on, we get a Dragon Screw on Chuck Taylor by Bobby Fish, and at this point, after that, Chuck Taylor gets eliminated. Then Private Party almost gets eliminated, but Matt Hardy holds on to Cassidy and brings him back on the apron, but then Cassidy gets eliminated again. I shouldn't say get eliminated again, but finally Cassidy gets eliminated. But then after Matt Hardy saw that, he proceeds to walk away. So really hints on him most likely reuniting with his brother Jeff in the next couple of weeks. Continuing on with the match, Santana eliminates Matt Lee and Jeff Parker 2.0. Then the Bucks super kick Ortiz to eliminate them, and then Santana with a moonsault lands into a super kick by the Bucks. Well, I don't think Ortiz got eliminated. My bad. But we get the big rig by FTR. FTR then and the Young Bucks face off, but then ReDragon comes in after FTR. We get a running bulldog by Nick Jackson on Trent. FTR then tries to eliminate Kyle O'Reilly, but then both pick up Kyle, but Kyle escapes. Then Nick Jackson gets eliminated. Santana goes after Matt. Then we get a German suplex by Bobby Fish on Trent. Then both try to send Trent over the top rope, but then Orange Cassidy assists Trent to get inside the ring. Then Trent comes back. He proceeds to work on ReDragon. We get a tornado DDT by Trent, but then after that, Bobby Fish gets eliminated. Once we're back from commercial break, Cash tries to eliminate John Silver with the help of Tully Blanchard, but it backfires, and Cash Wheeler proceeds to get eliminated from the match. Then Kyle with his amazing ass kicks, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Those are stiff ass kicks that Kyle O'Reilly does. Santana and Trent face off. Both exchange shots. We get a half and half suplex by Trent Beretta. We get a lariat by Santana. We get a pump kick by Santana, but then Trent hangs on. And then Trent takes Santana. Both try to suplex one another, but then both hit a boot. Then Kyle O'Reilly and Matt Jackson eliminate Santana and Trent. At this point, Kyle O'Reilly and Matt Jackson face off with Dax Harwood. I shouldn't say FTR, Dax Harwood. Both fight it out. We get a couple of chops by Dax on Kyle O'Reilly. We get a couple of knees by Kyle on Dax. And then we get a couple of kicks by Kyle O'Reilly. And then we get a backdrop by Dax. Kyle then tries to eliminate Dax Harwood, but then Dax is on the apron. Both Kyle and Dax at this point are on the apron. Both fight it out. Bobby Fish, who was eliminated earlier in the match, comes in, and with the help, I shouldn't say with the help, Kyle O'Reilly gets help from his partner, Bobby Fish, and he eliminates Dax Harwood from the match. Then Matt Jackson and Kyle O'Reilly work on John Silver, who is still in the match. He was never eliminated. Both try to suplex John Silver, but then John Silver counters and double suplexes both Matt Jackson and Kyle O'Reilly. We get a back body drop on Kyle O'Reilly by John Silver. Then we get a pump kick to the back of the head of Matt Jackson by Silver. He picks up Matt and hits the spin doctor. I think that's what the move is called. Then he picks up Kyle, but then Matt hits a super kick. Then Kyle picks up Silver, but Matt comes in with a super kick again. Then again, so it's a super kick party. Then at this point, Matt eliminates John Silver, but then from behind, Kyle O'Reilly eliminates Matt Jackson, and ReDragon wins the tag team battle royal, and they will go on to Revolution to be a part of the triple threat tag team match with Jurassic Express for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Overall, fantastic finish. I love the fact that, we had Kyle O'Reilly, of all people, eliminate Matt Jackson. They're slowly teasing that dissension in the Elite, and they're definitely doing the Paragon versus the Elite 100%. I think that's going to be one of the top feuds this year. But overall, this was a fantastic match. But then after that, the Young Bucks come in, and then they argue against ReDragon. Then Hangman Page comes in and attacks them. But then the Bucks are just the Bucks are there, and then once Hangman comes in, the Bucks just like, hey, they're all yours. And then he sets up the buckshot lariat on ReDragon, but no. Adam Cole comes in, but then he tries to set up the buckshot, but then ReDragon slides Adam Cole out of the ring. But then John Silver, out of nowhere, takes out ReDragon on the outside. And then Hangman hits a buckshot lariat on Kyle O'Reilly. And then Hangman cuts a short promo. He says, "Who's ready for story time with Adam Page, baby?" Their tale began in 2008 when Adam Cole entered the world of pro wrestling, and he became a world champion everywhere he went. But as he can see the writing on the wall and saw his world crumbling all around him, he clambered back to all his old friends and decided to come after the AEW World Championship. And he kept his eyes on that prize as he walked step by step, never realizing that he was drawn closer and closer to a 6-foot hole in the ground. And at Revolution, thinking he would walk out as the AEW World Champion, he took one step closer to that grave, and the better Adam, I should say, slayed him down in it. And then the world listened to the sound of his body hitting the dirt from a fresh buckshot, and that was the sound of boom. And then Hangman Adam Page flips off Adam Cole after that. Overall, that was a great short promo by Hangman Page. I thoroughly enjoyed what I saw. Again, man, this match at Revolution is looking to be a stacked card March 6th on pay-per-view. I am actually planning on watching Revolution inside a dine-in movie theater at the AMC theaters nearby me. They're actually airing the Revolution pay-per-view there. I'm most likely going to get my tickets. I may change my mind and just order the pay-per-view flat out, but overall, man, Revolution is looking to be an awesome ass show. And we got a main event with Adam Cole going up against Hangman Page, bro. That match is going to be bonkers. Probably one of the best matches of the year, period, in my opinion. But that is just me. Tony Schiavone then interviews Bryan Danielson and Bryan Danielson, and he talks about Daniel Garcia. And then all of a sudden he talks about how he will get an answer from Jon Moxley tonight. Here is the main segment that I really want to talk about. MJF. Yes, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. MJF. The scum of the earth, not the salt of the earth, the scum of the earth, as Tony Schiavone would say, a fucking weasel. But MJF, man. So MJF cut this heartfelt promo. Looked like he was scared for the dog collar match that he's going to have against CM Punk at Revolution in next week, I should say. Not next week. Yep, next week. Yeah, man. I literally wrote this whole promo down. Now, granted, it's not all word by word. Most of it is word by word, but I mean, the reason why I wrote it, the majority of it, word by word, is because of the fact that this promo is just so damn good, and the fact that MJF just really went there when it came to his promo. MJF, right? MJF in this promo had the crowd in the palm of his hands. He did. He had the crowd in the palm of his hands. He came out. MJF came out to the ring, cut a heartfelt promo. In the beginning, the crowd was just seeing through his BS. They were seeing through his BS and just flat out booing the crap out of him. Talking about the disabilities that this guy, that he has. The crowd still booed him. But at the end, when MJF went more and more personal in his promo, the crowd changed their reaction on MJF. And the crowd actually cheered MJF when CM Punk came out and actually fell for MJF's quote-unquote trick. I thoroughly believe that this whole thing can be a swerve by MJF, because at the end of the day, it's MJF we're talking about. MJF's character is a complete jackass. That is his character. And I felt like while listening to this promo, granted, a lot of this stuff that MJF has stated, they had true emotion to it. You literally felt the emotion that MJF had in this promo. But, I mean, a part of me is like, bro, MJF is a complete jackass. Now, granted, he can be a great babyface, but really the majority of his character is a complete jackass. And, he literally changed the reaction of the crowd. I feel like he, in storyline, of course, not in real life, but in kayfabe, of course, I think he's working all of us. I think definitely there's going to be a swerve, or there could possibly be somewhat of him with this promo, talking about a lot about this promo and definitely just going after CM Punk in a crazy ass way. But most likely, I definitely do see this as a swerve, and I tweeted this out. Once MJF shows his true colors in kayfabe, this guy is going to get mega, and I mean mega, mega, mega nuclear heat from the crowd. I thoroughly enjoyed this whole MJF and CM Punk feud. I really did. I think it really took MJF to the next level. Granted, MJF was always great at what he did. I always thought he was amazing at what he did, but I felt like in this particular feud with CM Punk, a lot of people say it may have gone a little bit too long. I get that, but to me, I think this is the perfect time. Of course, MJF beat CM Punk in his hometown twice, and they're going to have the dog collar match at the Revolution pay-per-view. But, I mean, man, this promo by MJF, man, you really felt for him, but at the same time, you kind of saw through his BS, because like right in the beginning, you're like, bro, this guy is really playing the sympathy boat. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, it's a wrestling promo. It's a heel. That's what a heel does. But again, man, I genuinely believe, man, with this whole emotional promo that MJF cut in kayfabe, I see it totally making sense. He's working everybody. He's working everybody in kayfabe. In kayfabe, that's the key word, kayfabe, and definitely just going after Punk. Like, he's going to go after Punk like crazy. Do I think he's going to win the dog collar match? I believe so. I don't think they should go for the 50-50 booking route. That's just me. I think MJF really needs to solidify himself as one of the best wrestlers in the world today. And again, man, this is just a glimpse of what we will see of MJF this year, man. MJF, guaranteed this guy is going to win the world championship. He is the next AEW world champion, period. If you don't think that, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But again, MJF is the next AEW world champion. But I'm going to talk about this promo. I'm going to read what I wrote down on MJF's promo. It's almost close to word by word on what he said, but I really have to read to you guys what he said, man, because this promo was insane. He talks about how he used to love CM Punk. He says that he knows that the fans will boo him since he is not the easiest person to like, but wants the crowd to give him an opportunity. CM Punk showed a photograph last week, and he said that for him, it was just another Friday. But to him, that being MJF, it wasn't. Says, it is easy to think that he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. It was really easy for people to understand his upbringing, but the fact of the matter is, he was the only reason why he got out of bed in the morning was because of professional wrestling. Just like the fans, he loves professional wrestling, and he screams he loves AEW in the center of the ring. That day meant more to him than just a Friday. That day meant everything to him. He does go back in time, back at in the year 2007. He talks about all the learning disabilities and disorders that he had when he was 11 years old. Every day in school for him was just hell. But the one thing he was good at was football. He was one of 2 Jewish kids that tried out, and shockingly, the coach started him as a middle linebacker. It meant a lot to him because he thought he had fit in. Then the next day at school, he walks in the hallway and sees his teammates walking up to him. He was excited because he actually thought that he was actually going to make friends. Then they look angry and they're holding rolls of quarters, and they all decided to throw the quarters at him as hard as they could. They said, "Pick it up, Jew boy." He went home and cried, but he finally stopped because today is Friday, and it is the day that he's going to meet CM Punk at an autograph signing. CM Punk is his hero, the guy he looked up to. CM Punk, the best in the world. That day meant everything to him. When he went home, he made a promise to himself that he was just going to be like his hero, CM Punk. He wasn't going to be afraid to speak up for himself. The 5'0" ADD-riddled Jew boy was going to become the best in the world. Fast forward to 2013, he got stronger, faster. He didn't give a damn because he wanted to be like his hero, CM Punk. He wants to be a professional wrestler. He started to watch tapes and studying matches until his eyes bleed. He's been practicing promos in the mirror until his voice gets worse because he wants to be just like CM Punk. Then hits January of 2014. He leaves him when he needed him the most. He left all of us. That's when he realized if the best in the world couldn't do it, why could some dumb 5'0" ADD-riddled Jew boy do it? So he went to college like a good boy. He quit his dreams, buried his dreams deep down until one day he's in his dorm room scrolling through Instagram, and there's an account called The Wrestling Classic. There is a photograph of Punk shaking hands with Bryan Danielson. CM Punk, the same guy that he believed he was the best in the world, he believed in, he was livid. He packed his bags and made the promise to himself that day. He promised that he was going to be the best in the world in spite of CM Punk. He made a promise that when he was a kid at school, he made a promise that when a kid at school who was getting bullied was looking at him on the TV screen, and made a promise that he was not going to leave him high and dry, just like Punk did. Just like he did CM Punk, my bad. He calls him a gutless coward, and at Revolution, he can choke him up, whip him with the chain, but he will not quit. If he quits, then he would be no better than him. And all we know that is the case because he is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and he is better than you, and you know it. So that was the entire promo by MJF. Now, granted, I kind of mixed up a little bit of the words right there, but that was an insanely ass promo. Literally, at the end of the promo, MJF literally came off as a huge babyface. Yes, I meant that right there. He came off as a huge ass babyface. And then after that, CM Punk comes out and he looks at MJF and he has this weird look on his face and he asks him, "Is this true?" And then MJF leaves. Wow. 100%, man. This promo, you definitely felt the emotion of MJF in this promo. I love how he is blending reality into a storyline. I think the best wrestling promos always involve reality into it. That's what makes a good wrestling feud, in my view. But again, man, MJF has the crowd in the palm of his hands. There's just no doubt about it. This guy went from literally playing the sympathy boat in the beginning of the promo, and the crowd just shitting all over him when he was talking about, oh, I got disabilities, all that crap. And then he, later on in the end of the promo, he comes off looking like a major babyface. Now, granted, again, MJF is still the heel in this match 100%, and I do think, MJF, in a way, he's going to show his true colors on CM Punk at Revolution in kayfabe. The guy is still a heel 100%. And once he shows his true colors in the storyline, MJF is going to get that mega nuclear legitimate heel heat. It's definitely happening. And it's going to be even crazier when he wins the world title, because we all know MJF is winning the world title. MJF right now, MJF is by far one of the best wrestlers in the world today. I feel like he has the whole package. The guy is a good wrestler. The guy knows how to sell well. I mean, bro, the guy wrestles in an old school style. Like, he wrestles like the traditional 80s style. Like, the guy is that damn good. Like, if you see the way that MJF sells, like, he sells really well. Sometimes he kind of sells outlandish, but at the same time, like, again, he's not like a lot of the other wrestlers that are, the majority of them are just high flyers. No, MJF is like your traditional wrestler, but he's like the full package, because, bro, this guy can cut a legitimate, amazing promo. And again, MJF had the crowd right at his fingertips, man. The guy had the crowd in the palm of his hands. And that is what I want to give. Really, that's what I want to let you guys all know. MJF had the crowd at the palm of his hands, and you love to see it. And MJF is going to get that crazy ass legitimate heat once he swerves everybody, because we all know it's going to happen. We all know MJF, in a way, he's kind of, I think he's mixing reality definitely here, but at the same time, I kind of feel like, he definitely played the sympathy boat 100%. And, he even fooled CM Punk in kayfabe, of course. He fooled the crowd and made the crowd cheer him. But definitely, man, MJF is 100%, man. This guy is definitely going to be a star. I mean, he's already is a star. And, this match at Revolution is going to be insane. I definitely do see MJF winning the match. But at the same time, I mean, once he wins that world title, I think there's going to be, a crazy-ass riot in the crowd. I don't want to say Cardona style, but it's MJF we're talking about. I mean, MJF, his character is a douchebag. Like, that's his character. But overall, man, that was a fantastic promo by MJF. Tony Schiavone interviews Daniel Garcia in 2.0, and 2.0 rant about Bryan Danielson. Of course, Daniel Garcia just cuts a promo on his match against Danielson, which was a fantastic match in the main event of Dynamite. We get a Kings of the Black Throne, of course, Malachi Black and Brody King versus Pac and Penta El Cerro Miedo. The match starts, both brawl. We get a thrust kick by Penta. The House of Black is on the outside. Penta then goes for a crossbody. And by the way, Penta has this new look. The match starts, finally. We get a 450 by Pac. Then we get a cover into near fall. At this point, Pac is in control. Penta at this point is the legal man. He works on Malachi Black. Pac tags in. Brody King then tags in. We get a clothesline by King on Pac. We get a cover and a near fall. We go to commercial break. At this point, the House of Black is in control. We're back from break again. Then Brody goes for a chop on Pac when he was on the top. Then he lands Pac into a poison rana. So what happened was Pac was on top of Penta, and then Brody King literally hit a crazy ass chop while Pac was on top of Penta, and literally Pac did a freaking poison rana on his own partner by accident, of course. Then at this point, we get a suicide dive by Brody King. We get a German by Malachi. At this point, the House works on Pac. And then we get a clothesline by Brody King. Penta then goes for a crossbody, but then the House picks up Pac. Then Penta comes in for the save. Then we get a pump kick by Pac on Brody King. We get a second pump kick. And then we get a German suplex. We get a double thrust kick by Penta and Pac after that. Pac then goes to the top. He wants to go for the Fear Factor, but then Malachi comes in. We get a roll-up by Penta, but then Penta and Pac win. But then Brody King comes in for the attack. And then after that, he continues to attack, but then Black grabs the shovel. Malachi is about to hit him with the shovel, but the lights go out. It's Buddy Matthews, a.k.a. if you guys are not familiar with Buddy Matthews, it was Buddy Murphy in the WWE. Of course, Buddy Murphy was one of the guys that got released in the round of cuts a couple of months ago in the WWE. Great to see Buddy Matthews back. You know, I see a lot. The crowd went apeshit for Buddy Matthews. I definitely marked out for Buddy Matthews 100%. Buddy Matthews is officially all elite with AEW, and he is part of the House of Black. Now, this does cause a little bit of concern when it comes to AEW with them signing a bunch of guys, because AEW recently has been on a signing train. I mean, recently Cesaro just, you know, his contract with the WWE went up and he did not re-sign with the company. So you will definitely probably most likely see Cesaro coming in as well. But 100% Jeff Hardy as well as AEW bound. You know, a lot of people, and, you know, this discussion should be talked about. I mean, AEW signing a lot of guys, and yes, that is a good thing because you are giving opportunity to a lot of guys that really didn't get that opportunity in WWE. But at the same time, if you're signing a bunch of guys, it's less and less TV time for other guys. And, you know, you really need to learn how to balance all these guys all together. I mean, look what happened with Andrade. When they brought in Andrade, it was a big deal. And then, of course, Andrade had, you know, he had that amazing, you know, match with Cody Rhodes. But let's be honest. What major match did, well, not, I don't want to say major match, but like what major storyline was really Andrade in? You know, Andrade was kind of like right there. And then when Malachi Black came in, you know, he had that feud with Cody Rhodes, but like really after that, what feud has Malachi Black been a part of? You know, you really got to look into these things. Nothing against the House of Black. I'm actually really enjoying the House of Black. And Malachi Black 100% is going to be a main event guy. But, you know, again, you know, there's just a lot of stuff going on right now in the main event scene that AEW does have their plans intact. But again, you know, they signed Keith Lee. 100% Keith Lee is going to be a success. They're definitely bound to sign Jeff Hardy. He probably already he didn't sign because his non-compete is still not up yet. But they're definitely signing Jeff Hardy once his non-compete is up, and he's definitely going to reunite with his brother. But again, AEW is signing a bunch of guys, which is not bad. Not bad signing a bunch of amazing talent. But again, it causes a rift when it comes to you utilizing your talent, and when it comes to television time. I mean, you're going to see a lot of guys not being utilized or probably not being put on television. That is just me. You know, there's only 3 hours of television. I'm definitely excluding Dark and Dark Elevation. You only have 3 hours of television a week. You can't utilize everybody on the roster. You just can't. You can't utilize everybody on the roster. And it makes total sense, you know, for you not to, because of the fact that, you know, in a way, the talent has to earn their way in order to get that particular spot. They can't just be given it. But I'm happy that Buddy Matthews is in AEW. It's great for him. I'm glad that he's finally in a place that I feel that his talents will get appreciated, because of the fact that, you know, WWE put him in this crappy storyline with, you know, him and Rey Mysterio's daughter. Like, you guys remember that? Yeah, neither did I. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm glad that he's part of the House of Black. I mean, this was a topic that I would talk about last year in my AEW Dynamite reviews. You know, AEW has a lot of small factions, and I think it's best for AEW to introduce trios titles, and we still didn't get that yet. I think it's time right now for AEW to introduce trios titles, because of the fact that we got so many factions right now. And let's be honest, what is the point of having all of these factions if you do not have something for them to fight for? We need trios titles in AEW for this whole thing to play out. And I think definitely once they introduce trios titles, 100% the House of Black is definitely going to be in contention for those. Definitely. But we have to wait and see, man. There's just a lot of things going on television that can, like, some of the feuds that you see on AEW, like one example, Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. Like, you guys remember that feud? The match that they had at Fyter Fest was awesome. And then, of course, I think we saw a rematch. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we did. But like for weeks, we saw video packages of like short video packages of their entire feud, and I'm like, okay, man, but we need like a legitimate segment instead of a video package. You know, that is the case. I mean, you only have 3 hours of television. I mean, you can't utilize everybody, and you know that is a problem of Tony Khan signing a bunch of guys. You know, I think AEW needs to slow down with the signings a lot. You know, they're bringing in Jeff Hardy. I think Jeff Hardy is going to be a success. I mean, 100% he's going to be with his brother Matt. But again, you know, they're signing a bunch of guys. They just signed Keith Lee, which is a great signing. I mean, who the hell is going to turn down Keith Lee? I mean, if you're a business, I mean, why the fuck would you turn down Keith Lee? I know I wouldn't. I would immediately sign a guy like Keith Lee. Okay, I would immediately sign a guy like Keith Lee. But still, I'm glad that Buddy Matthews is in AEW, though, 100%. And what about Bray Wyatt? What about Wyndham Rotunda? I mean, like, he's definitely coming in. We do not know when. But again, you know, he's possibly coming in as well. Cesaro is another one because of the fact that he did not re-sign recently. That was actually a report that recently came out that I will talk about in a future video. But still, I mean, AEW is signing a bunch of guys, and it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, it can cause problems when it comes to your overall product because you can't utilize everybody. That is just the cold hard fact. Here's one segment that I definitely enjoyed. This was like another segment, like besides the MJF segment, like this segment was amazing, man. It was hilarious and it was entertaining. This definitely, this was definitely more entertaining than you would see on a WWE segment. There would rarely be a couple of segments that I would like. Roman Reigns segments are top notch. They're the best segments that you would see in the WWE now. But this segment, man, I don't know why AEW with their promo segments always, for the most part, they're I don't want to say that they're always hit or miss, but like they would sometimes miss, but most of the time they definitely do succeed when it comes to their promo segments. Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston, we got a face-to-face segment. I'm gonna state what happens here. Eddie asks the crowd if the crowd is done singing Judas. He asks why security is in the ring. Jericho says security is here because he wants to talk like men and he doesn't want them to fight like street thugs. Eddie then says he does not know what that means. So he basically called Jericho out right off the get-go. And in all honesty, Eddie doesn't know why they're doing this. He says that he is not a sports entertainer. Since they are not going to fight right now, Kingston asks Tony Khan to book a random match. He tells Jericho that this is a wrestling company, not a sports entertainment company. Shots fired. If you're mad about that, get a life. What's the problem with that? A lot of people would say, oh, but if the WWE did that, you'd completely crap all over it. Yeah, and you're right. I will admit that. But let's be straight up. At least with AEW, it's kind of justified. With the WWE, like, at the end of the day, like, for me, I do not mind if the WWE mentions AEW, to be quite honest with you. At the end of the day, it's wrestling, and that's what makes wrestling fun at the end of the day. No matter what company you are. I mean, wrestling companies always took shots at one another. So the fact that people are saying that WWE lives rent-free in AEW's head is just a flat-out farce. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. But, I mean, if you, mentioning WWE, to me, like, it's just fun to do. It makes wrestling fun. And, if WWE did that, yeah, you'd kind of question it because of the fact that, for a fan like me, you'd be like, AEW has the better product. But at the end of the day, even if they did mention AEW a lot more, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I'd probably get a kick out of it because of the fact that, hey, it's fun. That's what makes wrestling fun. You know what I'm saying? Jericho says that they're a little down with the road. Jericho says that he tells Jericho that this is a wrestling company, not a sports entertainment company. And he tells Jericho to go down the block. Then Jericho replies that they're a little bit down the road from Stanford, so maybe he will give a little bit of sports entertainment. But he will say that this sports entertainment will actually be entertaining because he's going to tell a story about Eddie Kingston. So that was a fun little line. He talks about the locker room being excited when Eddie Kingston first came in. He was thinking of himself, who the hell is Eddie Kingston? He never heard of him. He thought that they were talking about Eddie Edwards, and then he saw him and he realized he did not know who he was. It was because he looked like a jobber. But then he saw his match against, what's his name? That was a funny ass line. Because of course Eddie Kingston's first match was with Cody Rhodes in a I think it was a no holds barred match for the TNT Championship. I remember the finish. There was not barbed wire. There was thumbtacks involved in the match. But Eddie Kingston's first match in AEW was against Cody Rhodes. So I love the fact that Chris Jericho was like, yeah, I saw his match against what's his name, and he heard his promo and realized that he may never heard of him before, and but that he states that this guy was good. He says that he got what it takes to get to the top. He even told him that a few days later, I should say. He even told him that it wasn't long before he would become a huge babyface in AEW because the people were going to love him, and he was right. And then Eddie Kingston goes, "What's a babyface?" Eddie Kingston is so fucking entertaining on the microphone, man. And then Jericho states that it was such a feel-good story after 20 years of busting his ass in the indies and overcoming his mental illness that he finally, after all these years, signed a contract with AEW at the age of 38 years old. And everyone was happy for him. But Chris Jericho himself didn't give two shits about him. The reason why was because he was jealous of Chris Jericho. He made it to the big time when he was 22 years old worldwide. By the time he was 38, he already main evented pay-per-views, toured the world, and had been a world champion and made millions of dollars. The reason why he is jealous is because deep down he knows that he can never achieve what Chris Jericho achieved, and deep down he doesn't think he can be at his level. Then Eddie then asks Jericho, what, does he want a cookie for that? Which was hilarious. Then guess what? He doesn't care. The only reason why he's done all that stuff was because he wasn't there. Then he's a different type of cat. He's not like Jericho. He doesn't leech off people. He's not like the rest of the people that lie and talk to the promoters to run other people down. He tells the promoter to F off if he wants him to do all that because he wants to do things his way. It's going to be him till he dies. Eddie then says he doesn't want to talk to him because all he's doing is sucking the blood out of him, and his blood is way too tough for him. Then he may do it to the young guys in the back and then tell them, hey kid, you got a bright future? Team up with me. That is the exact way that Eddie Kingston stated that, man. That was hilarious. He states that he'd rather do things on his own and says that he wants to fight him at the pay-per-view. Chris wants to ask Kingston a question. Have you ever heard of achievophobia? And then Eddie says that he's got a GED, so he does it. You gotta love Eddie Kingston, bro. Eddie Kingston makes everything entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. Chris then says it means the fear of success, which Eddie is. Eddie is terrified to make it to the top because if he did, he would fall off the other side, and he knows it. Because he considers his destiny to be a whole failure. Why? He read all of the stories. Then Jericho gets personal, talks about his family, he talks about his uncle, he talks about his father being failures. And he says deep down inside, he thinks he is a failure and says Eddie can't win the big one. And Jericho says that this is the company that he is, says in this company, he is the big one, not Moxley, not Danielson, not Punk, not Hangman, Chris Jericho. It's so very heelish lines by Chris Jericho right there. Jericho accepts his challenge and says that he cannot win the big one. And if he does beat Chris Jericho, then he will look him in the eye and shake his hand and tell him that he has the utmost respect. The one thing that is holding him back is the fear of success. Kingston then states that he will give him a warning. Kingston then states he doesn't want Jericho that gave us the Mimosa match, the Jericho that fell off the cage. Give him the Chris Jericho that was the first world champion of the company. The Chris Jericho that bled buckets in Tennessee. The Chris Jericho that turned WCW upside down. The Jericho that had his close friend Levesque hated because if he did, he would eat him alive. If he doesn't bring that version of Chris Jericho, he will eat him alive. And then Jericho states that he will give him that Chris Jericho, but like he said, he doesn't believe in it, that he can beat him, winning the big one. And then his opinion of his deep down inside, it's the same opinion that he has of him. He is nothing more than a loser and always will be one, and he cannot win the big one. That Paul Levesque line by Eddie Kingston was hilarious. I want that Chris Jericho that his close friend Levesque hated. That was an awesome ass line by Eddie Kingston. And look, I like the fact that they mentioned stuff like this because of the fact that the casual audience would not really understand because of the fact that this is definitely geared towards more of the hardcore audience. But to me, as a fan for like 10 years, to me, I love this type of realism in the promos. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about AEW is just their promo segments because they're just so entertaining to listen to. I mean, you can't deny AEW definitely utilizes their promos 10 times better than the WWE. That's just my opinion. But overall, we're going to be getting Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston at Revolution. Again, Revolution is looking to be a 100% stacked show. I'm definitely hyped for this pay-per-view, man. I'm definitely, buying the show 100%. I always do. I'm planning on actually watching this at a movie theater. Hopefully, the experience is good, but we'll have to wait and see, man. This show is just flat out is going to be amazing, in my opinion. By far, in my opinion, I believe that this show is going to be one of the best pay-per-views all year, if not the best. And we're not even in March yet, so that is actually great to see. We get Dark Order's 10 versus Ricky Starks in a qualifying match for the face of the Revolution, a ladder match. Both lock up. We get a side headlock by Starks. We get a kick by Starks. We get a shoulder tackle by Starks. But then 10 no-sells it. 10 then takes Ricky to the corner. He works on Starks. We get a tornado DDT attempt, but 10 counters. Then he takes Starks up and then hits a delayed vertical suplex. Once we were back from commercial break, we got a shoulder tackle by 10. 10 then catches Starks. He applies the full Nelson. Then we get a discus clothesline by 10. Then he applies the full Nelson again, but then Starks tries to grab the mask. He actually spins Ten's mask around, hits the spear, we get a cover, and Ricky Starks wins the match. Overall, this was a really good match. Ricky Starks is going to be a part of the Face of the Revolution ladder match, joining his partner, Powerhouse Hobbs, Keith Lee, and Wardlow. Again, man, this ladder match is going to be insane. Of course, Dante Martin did face Powerhouse Hobbs, in which Dante Martin did lose. But I'm not going to lie, man. I like the element that they're bringing in, guys like a Keith Lee, a Wardlow, and a Powerhouse Hobbs in the match. And you got a guy like Ricky Starks. But I will say this, man. If Dante Martin was in the match, this guy would do some unbelievable stuff in the match. Guaranteed at 100%. But overall, man, Ricky Starks, this guy is, again, another guy that's going to be a future superstar. Ricky Starks, amazing at what he does. And Ricky Starks is officially part of the Face of the Revolution ladder match. We get a backstage interview with ReDragon. ReDragon is excited because of the fact that they won the tag team battle royal. Then the Young Bucks come in. They are apparently pissed off, but the ReDragon states that they have a shot next week. And Adam Cole says that he tells ReDragon that they need to focus because Adam Cole himself has a lot on his plate with the AEW World Championship. And Cole says that they need to get along with the Young Bucks. Again, I definitely do see dissension. 100% we're going to see. Once Omega comes back, we do not know when Omega is going to come back. I assumed originally that it was going to be at Revolution, but definitely it's going to be much longer. But overall, man, I mean, once Omega comes back, this storyline is going to be insane in my view. Jade Cargo versus the Bunny for the TBS Championship. This was not a long match, but it was not a bad match. Both Bunny and Jade face off, both lock up. Then we get a slap after that. Both lock up again. We get a boot by Jade. Jade then targets the shoulder of the Bunny. We get a hammerlock applied by Jade, but then the Bunny takes Jade to the outside. We get a couple of running elbows by the Bunny, but then the Bunny hits a Russian leg sweep, landing on the guardrail. We go to commercial break. The Bunny's in control. Jade then starts to regain control. We get a back elbow by Jade, but then the Bunny targets the eyes of Jade. Then we get a running knee by Bunny. Jade then catches Bunny and hits a spine buster. Matt Hardy then comes in and distracts the referee. Mark Sterling then comes in and argues with Matt onto the apron. Then, meanwhile, Mark slides the title belt to Jade and hits it on the Bunny without the referee looking. Matt Hardy then and Mark Sterling get kicked out. We got a roll up by the Bunny, but we get a near fall. We got a couple of thrust kicks by Bunny, and then Jade counters the Bunny and hits the Jaded. We get a cover, and Jade Cargill retains the TBS Championship. After that, Jade cuts a promo. Talks about her winning streak, of course, as the TBS champion. He talks about who is left. And then, of course, Ty Conti comes out, says that she is not just next, but she is going to beat her ass, bitch. Those are the exact words that Ty Conti stated. Then she runs into the ring and goes right in the face of Jade. Then the Bunny comes in, and then Ty hits the Ty KO on the Bunny, but then Jade hits the pump kick on Ty, and Jade stands tall with her TBS Championship. Overall, we're definitely going to be seeing Ty Conti face Jade. I think they're going to be wrestling on Rampage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if that is the case, I mean, Jade, of course, is going to be retaining. If you need to take the belt off Jade, in the future, it has to be against somebody that's really credible and that's somebody that's going to be a major star, in my opinion. Because 100% Jade is going to be a star. And once she is done with the TBS Championship, she is definitely going to the main event scene and going to the Women's Championship title picture. We get a backstage interview with Keith Lee. Lee talks about the people that are in the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Ricky Starks then comes in and says Team Taz are running things around here and says that he is going to start over since he is the new guy. Then we got our main event of the evening. Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia in a fantastic match. This was definitely a fantastic technical wrestling match. Garcia looked great. He showed a lot of his strengths in the match. Bryan Danielson, what can I say about Bryan Danielson, man? The guy knows what the hell he is doing. The guy is a wrestling specialist, and the guy is just amazing at what he does. Danielson works on Garcia. We get a couple of uppercuts by Danielson. Danielson then wants Garcia to show him some, so he really wants Garcia to fight back. Garcia then goes for a waistlock. We get a chop by Garcia on Danielson. We get a couple of chops by Garcia. Danielson with a couple of rights and lefts. We get a double underhook by Danielson. Danielson then looks for the lapel lock, and then he finally applies it, but then Garcia gets his foot onto the bottom rope. Then we get a kick to the face by Danielson. We get an uppercut by Danielson. We get a chop to the back by Garcia. Once we're back from break, Garcia then hits a dragon screw after that. He tries to suplex Danielson from the apron, but Garcia gets dropped onto the outside. Danielson then hits a running knee after that. Danielson then takes Garcia to the ring. He goes to the top. He hits a shotgun dropkick on Garcia. He kicks. We get a couple of kicks by Danielson on Garcia. Then Danielson hooks the leg of Garcia, but both Garcia and Danielson exchange kicks to the face. Then Danielson hits the tiger suplex after that. We get a 1 count. Danielson then applies the cat mutilation. Then Garcia counters into the ankle lock, but then Danielson goes for a shot to the back of the head of Daniel Garcia. Then we get a knuckle lock by both wrestlers. Then both proceed to exchange shots, but then we get a slap by Danielson on Garcia. But then Garcia slaps back. Then we get a dragon screw by Garcia, but then Danielson fires back. We get repeated stomps by Danielson. Danielson then applies the triangle sleeper, and then Garcia fades, and then Danielson wins the match. Overall, this was a really good main event to close off Dynamite, but that's not all. Danielson then tells Garcia that is what he wanted to see. He asks the crowd, was that a violent match? Then 2.0 comes out and attacks Danielson, but then Moxley comes in for the save. Yes, Jon Moxley comes in for the save and attacks 2.0. Garcia then tries to hit Mox with the chair, but then Danielson does not let him. Mox then hits the paradigm shift on Daniel Garcia, and then Danielson grabs the mic. Danielson says that he does not need a chair to make anyone bleed, and then Danielson accepts the match with Moxley at the Revolution pay-per-view, and the show ends. Wow, we got finally Moxley versus Danielson at Revolution. Bro, that match is going to be bonkers, man. I'm going to be 100% excited to see what goes down in that match. I mean, you got Danielson and Moxley tearing it up at Revolution. You know this is going to be a barn burner of a match. This match is going to be insane. And again, the entire card is looking so good right now for Revolution. You know, I definitely do see Revolution as possibly one of the best, if not the best pay-per-view of 2022. And we're not even at March yet. But, yeah, man, that was my AEW Dynamite review from February 23rd, 2022. Overall thoughts, I definitely enjoyed what I saw on this show. I mean, to be quite honest, the Dynamite is the best wrestling show of the week, in my opinion. I thoroughly enjoyed what I saw here. The segments, MJF is honestly the MVP of modern wrestling right now. Of course, we had Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho tearing it up verbally. You know, with the matches that were really good, of course, we had Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia. A lot of the matches were really good on this show, but really what shined on this show was definitely the promo segments. But yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube. But this is Broken Havoc, signing out.